My name is Stephanie, and this is my daughter, Maddie. On January 20th, Maddie received her second dose of the Pfizer COVID vaccine. She developed severe chest pain, and the way she described the chest pain, it feels like my heart is being ripped out through my neck.
I'm a bags rebel, can't say I'm looking for trouble, yeah. You can't handle when I step up to the mantle, yeah. Ay, bags rebel, these sheep are designed for the heat. See them shaking when I'm up on the beat. They can't handle the words that I speak, yeah. Bags rebel, I'ma still woke till you sleep. After the jab, your body gets weak, cause you stuck up in your bed for a weekend. I'm a mask rebel, no I will not wear your muzzle. You can't cover my mouth and my brain stays free. I will never bow to a bounty. I've said it all time and time again. You won't catch me vaccine with it. I ain't gonna lose when we all can win. Death rate is less than 1%. Consider to the hood slinger saying that it's good. What you doing to your blood gonna end up in a crypt saying you're a free thinker but you're still reading a script. Cause the vaccine is safe and the vaccine is clean. If you give it back your freedom, everything you need, just take the jab and bend the knee. But I know my people gonna live free. They can try to hunt me down, make the rounds, but none of the vaccine gonna get me down. And then my heart fails. Oh well, we said the truth and they be hitting that. But I'm on it, say it fast and never stop. And when I rap, and even when I'm out of breath, you know I gotta do it fast. And then we marching into the streets. It is a patriotic fest. They try to shut me down, and I will call me the axe rebel with all my boys. Bryce and Gray, yeah, we make good noise. And Forgiata with his Rolls Royce. We on the scene and on the streets. We on the track and spitting stats. But I gotta tell you that I am a bags rebel. Can't say I'm looking for trouble, yeah. You can't handle when I step up to the mantle, yeah. Bags rebel, these sheep are designed for the heat. See them shaking when I'm up on the beat. They can't handle the words that I speak, yeah. Bags rebel, I'ma stay woke or you sleep. After the jab, your body gets weak, cause you stuck up in your bed for a weekend. I'm a mask rebel, no I will not wear your muzzle. You can't cover my mouth and my brain stays free. I will never bow to a bounty.
Vax rebel, they lab test you and mass check you chips that can detect the virus. Sounds like the last devil revelation. Got vaccine cards, but next is registration for unvaccinated, while Dr. Fauci is celebrating, comparing us to 9/11. Ignore BLM violence. If you speak out against the narrative, you bout to get silent. Forced vaccines, dictators always gonna require compliance. 2A is just in case the government becoming the tyrants.
Hold up, breathe. No mask on my face, my sneeze. Vaccine, now you're weak in the knees. Got me feeling like Constantine.
Yeah, bags rebel, these sheep are designed for the heat. See them shaking when I'm up on the beat. They can't handle the words that I speak. Yeah, bags rebel, I'ma stay woke or you sleep. After the jab, your body gets weak, cause you stuck up in your bed for a weekend. I'm a mask rebel, no I will not wear your muzzle. You can't cover my mouth and my brain stays free. I will never bow to a bounty.
Vax rebel, body's a criminal. They killing these kids, whoa. The system is evil, yeah. Time to wake them up. Wake the people up. United we stand, divided we fall. Real patriots stand tall. So Chandler, watch out for the people hating on them. You too educated, they want you to fail, homie. They probably gonna lock us up for speaking the truth.
Mass formation psychosis.
They wanna poison me and poison you.
Because what's happening is not right.
If you want it, come and get it. Catch that doctor's office visit. I don't care if Donald made it. It don't matter, I won't take it. Vax rebel, can't say I'm looking for trouble, yeah. You can't handle when I step up to the mantle, yeah. Vax rebel, these sheep are designed for the heat. See them shaking when I'm up on the beat. They can't handle the words that I speak, yeah. Vax rebel, I'ma stay woke or you sleep. After the jab, your body gets weak, cause you stuck up in your bed for a weekend. I'm a mask rebel, no I will not wear your muzzle. You can't cover my mouth and my brain stays free. I will never bow to a bounty.
Our government is out of control, and they are lawless. They completely disregard bioethics. They completely disregard the federal common rule. These mandates.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages from all across the world. You are now tuned in with me. My name is Chandler Crump, and this is your brand new episode of Crump Live, available on a multitude of every platform. By every platform, I mean a multitude of platforms like YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, Twitch, and even my kind folks over on Getter are getting to join us here tonight, as we do every week at Thursdays at 8, and now Tuesdays at 8, or actually the other way around, and now Thursdays at 8. This is our weekly night show that we are now turning into a bi-weekly show. Not every 2 weeks, but twice a week, because I was looking it up the other day. Apparently, when you say bi-weekly, it actually can mean either or both, which is just really interesting to me. So shout out to all the people in the chat. We have a ton of stories we're going to be jumping into today, but it's a little bit more chill. We already had our brief for the day, so we don't need to be speeding through subjects. We're going to take our time meandering through these subjects and just weaving through every little idiosyncrasy of what is happening today, because these stories are so out of your mind crazy that you wouldn't expect them to be real. That's just what it is. Like, you don't expect them to actually be a real thing, but unfortunately they are. So shout out to my people over on Rumble, to my folks over on Getter, and to my folks over on YouTube. I know y'all are going to start filtering in as the time goes, but just keep an eye on the time. And then each time you want to watch my show, just remember what time we come on, at 8 Eastern or 3 Eastern, depending on which day, or technically 3 Eastern most days, except the weekends. So let's just jump into this, because this stream was kind of branded a little strangely. I titled it Russians Facing Persecution, but what does that even mean? Well, here's what it means. Electronic Arts is removing Russian teams from its video games amid the Ukraine invasion. The move comes after the governing bodies that oversee the two sports suspended Russia for participating in international competitions. Are you serious? They're getting kicked off of games now. What is this? EA, one of the world's largest video game publishers and the developer of sports games FIFA and NHL, is removing Russian teams from its video games amid the invasion of Ukraine. In two separate announcements on Tuesday, EA Sports, which develops and publishes EA's sports titles, said it will pull Russia's national and club football teams from its 2022 line of FIFA games. It will also be pulling the Russian and Belarusian national club hockey teams from NHL. The move comes after the governing bodies that oversee the two sports suspended Russia from participating. EA Sports said in a statement that it stands in solidarity with the Ukrainian people. EA Sports stands in solidarity with the Ukrainian people, and like so many voices across the world of football, calls for peace and an end to the invasion of Ukraine. In line with our partners at FIFA, UEFA, EA Sports has initiated processes to remove the Russian national team and all Russian clubs from EA Sports. Yada yada, a lot more. The publisher says it is actively evaluating related changes with other aspects of their video games, some of which feature Russian characters and locations, so they might actually be taking this even further in some ways by just erasing Russian people from their platform, from their content. The move to omit any Russian presence from video games and even restrict Russian gamers from participating online comes amid a call from Ukraine to impose sanctions on Russian citizens after the invasion of Ukraine. We are sure that such actions will motivate the citizens of Russia to proactively stop the disgraceful military aggression, Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister suggested to Rebel News reported, I should say. That's real. That is a real thing happening in America, or I guess even the world. But it's not just hitting the sports. No, it's hitting a few other ways as well. Russia Today America is actually going to be having to halt production on their shows, their content. Now, this comes after Russia Today was literally censored from YouTube and Facebook, and they had to rely on alt-tech platforms like the rest of us, on Odyssey and I believe even Rumble as well. So here's the story. RT America to halt production and lay off most staff after being dropped by major US distributors. RT America, the sister network to Russia Today's state-sponsored RT, is ceasing production after being dropped by DirecTV and Roku following the invasion of Ukraine. TNR Productions, the production entity, sent a note to employees announcing the shutdown. Unfortunately, we anticipate this layoff will be permanent, meaning that this will result in the permanent separation from employment of most TNR employees at all locations. The general manager wrote in a memo. He blamed the shutdown on unforeseen business interruption events. Holland Cook, who hosted a show for RT America, wrote in Talkers that, I agreed to do a show this week and had booked and was scripting on the topic of refugees, a snapshot of desperate Ukraine pilgrims' plight, but that show won't air. In an all-hands meeting Thursday at noon, management spared remaining Russia Todayers the dilemma. We've been canceled by cable, satellite, and even online distribution platforms. CNN first confirmed the shutdown and the employee memo. RT America had locations in DC, Los Angeles, New York, and even Miami. In the memo, the general manager wrote that employment would end around May 3rd. RT America's production shutdown, just over a week after the invasion began, follows a cascading series of actions in which the U.S. distributors and other organizations have been distancing themselves from Russian interests. And that's true. This is a cascade of events that is coming forward that is basically restricting Russians from everyday life. Now, are they responsible for what is happening? For the most part, most of them, no. Now, some of them may be supporting it in some way. Some of them may actually be soldiers in and of themselves. But I think we can look at the numbers through all of this and say, we're just attacking a race of people for what their government is doing. And I've posted quite a few tweets about this as well, sort of placing things like this. Imagine you have Trump supporters, right? Or maybe nobody, let's not even make it political, just Africans. I put out a tweet directly about this actually. Replace the word Russians and all these different things with Africans. And suddenly you would see these buildings burn. Imagine they had taken African America. And let's just say that's AT, Africa Today America, AT America. Let's imagine that's a news network. And it had to shut down because people were boycotting it because maybe one of the countries in Africa, or I guess if we're just calling Africa today, regarding the race or the continent by a nation, let's say the African military is invading Portugal. That's, it's a little different. You're gonna do the same thing, right? No, because if they did that, then all of a sudden it would be racist. All of a sudden it would be a big deal. And they'd spin it, and they would spin it, and it suddenly would be a massive kerfuffle, as you could say. But no, because it's Russia today, and Russians, it's not a big deal. Even when they're struggling to get on the train because they don't have the ability to use Apple Pay or Google Pay in Russia to get on their trains anymore. I don't know. It doesn't just stop there, though. It's even in the culture. Disney Plus is apparently removing the film Anastasia from their network simply because of what is happening. Yes, the animated film Anastasia has been removed from Disney Plus in the United States. Now, for the many people that I'm sure haven't watched Anastasia, including myself mostly, I watched it a long time ago. I barely remember it, but I know it's about the Russian Revolution, and it connects deeply with Russian culture, and it's takes place in the early 1900s, during the time of World War I, and they had the the Russian Revolution, in which there's a basic communist revolution in their nation. A lot of people died, big thing. Anastasia takes place during that time, in which I believe she's a lost Russian princess. I don't know. I haven't watched the movie in a long time, but I know that it does deal directly with Russian culture, and that's basically what you need to understand from it. They're now taking that off of the network. Was Anastasia on Disney Plus? It's a Fox distro film. That's interesting. Okay, so this has to do with the contract with Stars, apparently, not the Russian-Ukraine conflict. And it'll be back in a month. Also available in countries outside U.S. Interesting. Coming from Nuance Bro there. It could be possible. It's just interesting timing, to say the least. I wanted to bring that up and say it's possible that that's connected. It is definitely possible. But it's also possible that it isn't. I don't know. But it's interesting timing to look at all these different things happening and just not say, at least there's something going on regarding all that. I don't know. Moving forward, off the Russia thing for a little bit, I wanted to quickly distract with this one. An officer who lost their job, but was the officer involved in the shooting against Breonna Taylor, has been cleared, so he will not face any criminal charges. A Kentucky jury on Thursday cleared a former police officer on charges that he endangered neighbors when he fired shots into an apartment during the 2020 drug raid that ended with Breonna Taylor's death. The panel of 8 men and 4 women delivered its verdict about 3 hours after it took the case, following closing arguments from prosecution and defense attorneys. Hankinson had been charged with 3 counts of wanton endangerment for firing through sliding glass side doors and a window of Taylor's apartment during the raid that left the 26-year-old woman dead. Hankinson's attorneys never contested the ballistics evidence, but said he fired 10 bullets because he thought his fellow officers were being executed. Hankinson, 45, testified during the trial that he saw a muzzle flash from Taylor's darkened hallway after police burst through the door and thought officers were under heavy fire, so he quickly wheeled around a corner and sprayed 10 bullets, hoping to end the threat. But in closing arguments Thursday, prosecutors cast doubt on what Hankinson said he saw, challenging whether he could have looked through Breonna's front door when police broke it open with a battering ram. I don't know. Good questions. He was never in the doorway, Assistant Kentucky Attorney General told the jury. Referring to Taylor, she added, his wanton conduct could have multiplied her death by 3 easily. So obviously there's a lot of backlash about this, and in fact it was trending earlier today regarding this officer, but that's just a quick story I wanted to bring up. Now we shift a little bit away from the Russian side of things into the Ukrainian side of things, because this story is happening now. It might be a little bit dangerous. Let me shift over here so I can see this. Okay. Apparently, the Russian army is firing from all sides upon that, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, which is the largest nuclear power plant in Europe. Fire has already broken out. If it blows up, it will be 10 times larger than Chernobyl. Russians must immediately cease the fire, allow firefighters in, and to establish a security zone. Now, this actually connects to a real story. Now, this is coming from the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, which means that is a big thing. Sorry about that sound. Europe's largest nuclear power plant is on fire after Russian attack. This actually does connect. So here's images of the city. Lots of fire. Like I said, we're just circling to the same images. But Ukraine on March 4th, that nuclear power plant in Ukraine, the largest of its kind in Europe, was on fire early on Friday after an attack by Russian troops. The mayor of the nearby town of Energodar said, there has been fierce fighting between local forces and Russian troops, Dmytro Orlov said in an online post, adding that there had been casualties without giving details. Earlier, Ukrainian authorities reported Russian troops were stepping up efforts to seize the plant and had entered the town with tanks. As a result of continuous enemy shelling of buildings and units of the largest power plant in Europe, that nuclear power plant is on fire, Orlov said. Reuters could not immediately verify the information, including the potential seriousness of any fire. The invasion of Ukraine is entering its 9th day. Thousands are thought to have died or been wounded as the biggest attack on a European state since World War II unfolds, creating 1 million refugees, with hits to Russia's economy and fears of a wider conflict in the West unthought of for decades. Russia has already captured the defunct Chernobyl plant some 100 kilometers north of Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. On Thursday, the United States and Britain announced sanctions on more oligarchs, following on from EU measures as they ratcheted up the pressure on the Kremlin. More and more things are happening, and there's a lot of people concerned for what is to come next. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Before we continue on, because we've got a lot more subjects that are thankfully finally stepping away from this Ukraine stuff, I've been doing my best to just keep a little bit of distance, but I had to bring that up real quick. I want to remind you that this show is, of course, sponsored and supported by viewers like you. So if you're interested in supporting our content and joining our Hall of Heroes, all options are available in the description below. Just visit the website donorbox.org/support-Chandler, which you can find down there, and consider a one-time or even a monthly donation to support the content we are creating right here on YouTube. As you guys can tell, we have created a brand new YouTube channel here. So we're starting fresh. We're starting off back from the bottom. YouTube completely obliterated my old channel. So if you don't want to ever deal with not being able to find my content again, then I invite you to subscribe to and join us over on the brand new YouTube channel available just in the chat or in the description below on Rumble. Now, moving on to, I'd say, a much brighter topic. It is the People's Convoy happening across America. Now, there's quite a few different convoys. In fact, I'm hearing there's about 6 or 7 happening. This one we're going to be talking about today is a big one. It's a big one. It's the big one, actually. It's the People's Convoy. So we've been following this as it started in California all the way back just like late last month. And it has been trucking along through the United States on its multi-day journey, like 10 days worth of a journey. We've been following it for a few days now. Right now, it is in Lower City, Ohio, which is its final resting spot for today. A rally will be held, as has been custom every night, upon arrival with hundreds and thousands of local supporters. But one thing I want to point out is that these things keep on getting bigger. I want you guys to see my reaction to this. Watch this. Ooh. Wow. It's getting bigger each day. So many truckers. The cars parked along the road. A beautiful sunset out in the middle of America, Ohio. I bet it's kind of cold too up there. But look at that. As far as you can see, basically a 180. So it starts here, it goes all the way. Let me just do that. It goes all the way over. That's like a full half a 360 180 right there. Turn all the way around. You still see the protesters and the road here. This guy's parked along the road. All these people parked along the road. Shenandoah, all that goodness. It's big. It's big, and it keeps on going. The convoy continues tomorrow to Hagerstown, Maryland. And if I remember correctly, and let's just check the peoplesconvoy.org, which is the handy-dandy website of which we can find all of this information, we can see just how they're doing right now. Oh, and actually, if you text the word convoy to 313131, you'll actually find information about what they're doing. And so, you know how you can text Joe to 30330? I'm going to text convoy to 313131 right now. So 313131. I'm going to just type in convoy so I can get updates about what they're doing. That's how you can tell that this is organized. So, yep, I just got a text back. Thank you for joining our text list. To donate, visit that website. For help, reply help. Message a data rate supply, all that good stuff. So they're going to be texting me updates about what is happening. And it looks like this website is technically automated because they've just been updating it. So the rally in Monrovia, Indiana was a huge success. The layover allowed for others from across the country to join us. We are bigger now than when we arrived. Tomorrow morning, there will be a trucker meeting at 8. Then we will depart to Monrovia, Indiana from 9. So this is March 2nd. So that's March 2nd convoy status. So, and then as of March 2nd, their destination was Lower City. So it needs to be updated for March 3rd because that's today. But I'm sure that'll happen tonight. Watch a recap of day 6, all that good stuff. Our destination, Lower City, that's where they are now. And then routes and times subject to change. So let's jump in and dig a little bit more south on this website and get another look. Because as you can see, we're getting real close to DC. In fact, this and then Hagerstown, Maryland tomorrow are the final stops. Take a look at this. This is history right here. Let's scroll all the way down. So here's where they were yesterday, and then here's today. So depart Indianapolis, arrive in Cambridge, Ohio for overnight stay. And then tomorrow, they will be arriving at Hagerstown, Maryland for an overnight stay. This is getting amazing. This is getting amazing. I'm proud of it. I really am proud of it. And then tomorrow, or no, not tomorrow, on Saturday, they plan to arrive on the DC Beltway. That is when the beautiful occupation is going to begin. And I cannot wait to see it. And I say occupation as far as the truckers showing up. I'm not encouraging anything crazy. I'm just saying that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. Although no matter what you do, I'm sure these people are gonna find a way to spin it. Because now the January 6th committee is subpoenaing Kimberly Guilfoyle for not showing up for their interview. The House January 6th committee on Thursday subpoenaed Guilfoyle, the girlfriend of former President Donald Trump's eldest son, who was in the Oval Office at the time Trump held his final conversation with his vice president, trying to make Mike Pence overturn the election for him, yada yada. Committee chairman Benny Thompson said Guilfoyle's presence in the White House the morning of the attack, and her appearance at Trump's rally that day, and her involvement in raising money for it, made her an important witness. Because Ms. Guilfoyle backed out of her original commitment to provide a voluntary interview, we are issuing today's subpoena that will compel her to testify. We expect her to comply with the law and cooperate. The subpoena itself said Guilfoyle, in addition to having boasted about having raised so much money for this, was also involved in the president's decisions about who would and would not be allowed to speak on stage, including concerns raised about him sharing the stage with people like those. Jones and Stone were all involved in the Stop the Steal movement that spread Donald Trump's lies that the election had been stolen from him, and were pushing for a protest at the Capitol itself. Much of the rally audience did march on the Capitol, as Trump had urged them to do, and several thousands then illegally breached whatever. All that madness. The subpoena also mentions Guilfoyle's words at the rally, and references a now infamous video recording of her dancing to the pre-rally soundtrack. You told the crowd, "We will not allow the liberals and the Democrats to steal our dream or our elections," and were filmed backstage prior to your speech, telling people to have the courage to do the right thing. Fight. I just had to bring that up. Show you guys what is going on with the culture. But the culture doesn't stop. No, the culture keeps going. It keeps going, because now Joe Rogan is getting at Justin Trudeau for using the Emergencies Act. Now, I don't think I covered it, but Justin Trudeau actually did finally raise the Emergencies Act in Canada, so it's no longer in effect. But doesn't mean Joe Rogan ain't got nothing to say about it. Podcaster Joe Rogan savaged Justin Trudeau on a recent episode of the JRE, criticizing Trudeau's use of emergency powers to crush Freedom Convoy protests. In an episode with comedian Brian Moses and Freddie Gibbs on Tuesday, Rogan compared Trudeau's actions to those of Russia and China. People like to control people. It doesn't matter if they're Russian or Chinese or American. Take a look at what's going on in Canada. They froze the assets of all those people who contributed to the truckers who were trying to protest. What are they doing? They froze the assets. They froze people's assets. I don't know if they released them. Let's see how good my impression holds up.
People thing. Like, people like to control people. It doesn't matter if they're Russian or Chinese or wherever the fuck they're from. American, Canadian. Look at what's going on in Canada. Well, they froze the assets, all those people that contributed to the truckers that were trying to, like, protest.
Right.
Yeah. I think my impression holds up pretty well. Trudeau invoked the Emergencies Act on Valentine's Day and used it to crush the Ottawa protest, then revoked the powers on February 23rd, only 2 days after forcing a vote in the House of Commons, allowing him to keep emergency powers for up to 4 more weeks. On 18th to 20th, a joint force of federal and other forces police cracked down on Ottawa demonstrators using heavy military equipment, mounted units, and pepper spray. Rogan went on to criticize the government for using measures designed for terrorists on people who are protesting. The amount of powers they have is enough. Those powers are supposed to be reserved for terrorist attacks and stuff. People are trying to overthrow the government, not people who are protesting. You have to be able to tolerate a certain amount of protesting. There has to be discourse. But unfortunately, discourse was not allowed to take place. That's what happens when these tyrants get control. And it looks like nobody is willing to stand up and stop them from keeping that control. In fact, people are actually advocating for it. In New York, they had a pro-mask protest. Yes, people protesting on behalf of having masks. I don't know what I just watched. I don't know. But apparently it's a pro-mask protest, and they're singing pro-mask songs. I'm grasping here. I'm just grasping at straws here for these stories, because it's like they don't seem real. Footage from pro-mask protest, and they're singing that song. I don't know. But at least there is some effort coming forward to get us out of this COVID madness. The Senate GOP passed a resolution to get rid of the COVID-19 emergency. And it actually passed. Senate Republicans on Thursday passed a resolution to nix the coronavirus health emergency, their second win in many days. Senators voted 48 to 47 on the resolution, spearheaded by Roger Marshall from Kansas, a day after they were also able to pass a measure to nix Biden's vaccine requirement for healthcare workers. I would ask him to listen to the people and end this declaration of emergency. Both votes were party line, but Republicans were able to exploit Democratic absences. 3 Democrat senators were absent: Mark Kelly, Feinstein, and Alex Padilla, compared to 2 absences for Republicans, just Inhofe and Richard Burr, effectively giving the GOP a majority in the chamber. But the resolution, like the vaccine mandate vote, is going nowhere in the House. The administration also vowed ahead of the vote that if it reached Biden's desk, he would veto it. Continuing to protect against COVID-19 and ensuring that our response remains nimble are top priorities in this administration. Therefore, the administration strongly opposes Senate Joint Resolution 38, yada yada. It's going to get rid of the emergency. But unfortunately, why would the government want to give power back to the people? Why would they want to get rid of the emergency? I can't think of a legitimately good reason as to why they would want to. I really can't. You're right, Renard. Very true. Very true with that. Let's go, Brandon. They want to keep control. But we have a little bit of good news, though. Just a little bit of good news, thankfully. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has announced that his wife is now cancer-free. Now, you guys may remember last year, I believe early on last year, she actually had announced that she had contracted breast cancer, developed breast cancer. But now she is cancer-free. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced that his wife Casey had been diagnosed with breast cancer, but the Republican politician announced on Thursday that Florida's First Lady is now cancer-free. In a video message, DeSantis declared that after going through both treatment and surgery, his wife is now considered cancer-free. While the governor said that there's more for his wife to do, he noted that he is confident that she will make a full recovery. There are no words to express how blessed, grateful, and humbled I am to hear that the words cancer-free. To those who are in the fight, know there is hope, have faith, and stay strong. And that is the message I want to echo to everybody, honestly. DeSantis announced in January that his wife had received her final chemotherapy treatment. Thank you for being by my side from the beginning, but especially yesterday as we celebrated my final chemo treatment together. I'm grateful, very humbled, and blessed, she tweeted after receiving her treatment. And there's a video. Ron DeSantis has served on the Sunshine State's governor since 2019 and is currently running for re-election. He is a popular figure. The governor and his wife have 3 young children, who thankfully may have a good chance of being able to see their mom for the rest of their life. So good news coming out of Florida. Good news coming from the Senate GOP, even if it's not going to get anywhere. Good stuff from Joe Rogan. We'll see what the Gen 6 committee does. And this People's Convoy is about to be big. We're going to have so much more news this week, and I cannot wait to see what happens next week. You guys are not going to want to miss it. I'll catch you guys once again tomorrow for our daily brief at 3. And then, of course, next Tuesday, all the good stuff is coming around. You guys know our stream schedule, so just keep up with it. You'll see me next Thursday at 8. I wanted to do this stream just so you guys know exactly when we have our shows. We'll have a lot more topics coming to you guys very soon, but now you guys know it. We have a ton of shows every week that you aren't going to want to miss. Keep an eye on this channel. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Thank you guys so much for being tuned in. And aside from all that, I'll catch you guys next time. Don't forget to spread the virus of intelligence.
Into the light.